Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about, will artificial intelligence take over for medical coders? If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys. So first things first, disclaimer first. This is my opinion. These are my thoughts and only my thoughts. I am a veteran medical coder. I have been a medical coder since 2008. And during this time, I have seen a lot of change in this industry. So what I'm going to say comes from experience and the things that I know. The other thing that I will say is this. There's a lot of people who have their opinions, and there's a lot of people who will speak like they know, and they really don't know. And what I mean when I say they really don't know is that a lot of times these people are not medical coders. They have not been in the health information industry. Or if they have been in the health information industry, they are relatively new. So there's a lot to it. And yes, there's going to be some veterans who will say, well, I think this and I think that. And that's all well and good. But what I'm doing today is giving you all my opinion on this subject. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to artificial intelligence, people are very concerned that this is going to take away jobs from medical coders because, all the electronic health record is doing all the coding and all these things like that. Okay, here's the thing. When it comes to artificial intelligence, there's a few things. It's not just, hey, let's just get this new AI program working for us and then it can do all the coding. Artificial intelligence does not have the ability to critical think. It is a programmed thing that is made up of ones and zeros, and it is looking for things that fit into its algorithm so that it can give whatever answer it can come up with. It is a machine that does not have the ability to think. Now, I have seen a lot of things with the electronic health record and how it does help providers to, have this whole wealth of knowledge. And it's not just by going into a book, it's by, helping with their decision making as far as like other options and things like that. And that's all well and good. For the electronic health record. There's many benefits to the electronic health record. But as AI gets more and more sophisticated, it's going to become more and more expensive. So that's the first thing that you have to think about, like, okay, it's going to be more expensive. Now, health information in the healthcare industry is all about saving money, not spending money. So you would have to literally get a whole staff to buy into this artificial intelligence program if you are working at a hospital or whatever. And even still, every provider is different, every patient is unique. So because of this, not everything is going to always be written the same. We are not robots ourselves. So we think differently. Sometimes providers use different words to describe things. And the artificial intelligence is not always going to know to pick those things up. So that's why I'm saying that there's a lot to it, and it's very sophisticated, and it's very, when it comes to health information, it is very individualized to each person. So this is why I'm saying with artificial intelligence, it's only as smart as a person that is programming it. And a lot of times those people they have nothing to do with health information. They're not even medical coders. They are coders of a different kind, but they are not medical coders. So whenever I get a message from somebody and it's always somebody who's a programmer who gets very upset with me and they send me a nasty message afterward, I just laugh because you don't know this industry. This is my industry. It's not your industry. I am in the health information field, not you. If you are a programmer, that's what you do. That's all the tools that you have with, artificial intelligence. That's great. But again, with something that involves people, it's not going to be as cut and dry as you all might think. And it's not going to be as easy to implement that stuff as you might think. Because while there are laws in the works, I'm sure, there's going to be a lot more that's going to have to change as well. There's going to be new laws that come into effect when it comes to how artificial intelligence manages health information. So that's something that you all need to realize. And you all need to stop listening to people that don't know our industry. There's a lot of people on Facebook medical coding groups or even at hospitals like nurses and things like that. I'm not saying all nurses, but there are some nurses who say, oh yeah, artificial intelligence and that kind of thing. It's going to be taking over for coders, and that's just simply not true, because we will always have to look at the electronic medical record or the record itself to find out and verify and make sure that everything is there. We have the ability to critical think, which is something that artificial intelligence will never have. And if it gets to that point where they start critical thinking on their own, then we would be in trouble. But until then, I think we are years and years and years away from that. But if you are going to be spun up about, oh, they said this about artificial intelligence and they said this and our jobs are going to go away, it's not as easy as y'all think that it will be, okay? We will be here for quite some time. They have been threatening artificial intelligence since I first started. And I got my certification in 2008. I was a student in 2007, and they were already talking about this. Oh, in another year or two, it's going to be gone. You know, medical coding is going to be just like transcription. Transcription was another thing, okay? Transcription, we all saw that coming. We knew that was going to happen once they had that natural language processing and everything, and we had the ability to use a microphone and it can dictate. We saw that coming. But with health information, it's a little bit different than that, okay? There's decision plans for different patients, and it's going to require different things. And again, I have seen computer-assisted coding make some ridiculous choices, okay? And so those are the things that we all have to kind of look at too, because even if the computer-assisted coding is helping to select codes and it doesn't select the correct code and we have to go back in and correct it. So those are the things that I just want to say about artificial intelligence. I wish I could tell people to stop listening to people that don't know, but I mean, I can't, because they're going to listen to whoever they want to anyway. But I just wish that people would understand, when you're studying medical coding, for some reason, there's a lot of people outside of our industry that think that they know, and they're going to try to discourage you for whatever reason. And there's many reasons that people try to discourage people from getting into medical coding. I have had a successful career thus far in the 15 years that I've been in it, and I've been doing nothing but growing. And I continue to grow every single day. So there's something to this field, but there's something to it that people think that they know, and they'll say, oh, you know, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do medical coding or whatever, because it's too hard, or you can't find a job, or no one will hire you. They will hire you. And I will say that again and again and again, because yes, they will. We all started with no experience, but there's a lot of people now that want things right now, which is why I will tell y'all that I will not get on TikTok or any of these little fast, quick things, because that's shortening the attention span. That's how people are becoming more and more every single day, is with a shortened attention span. They want quick videos, they want information right now, they want a job right now, they want to graduate school right now, they only want to go through these little short programs, and you can't do that when you have to know what a doctor knows while never having gone to medical school. That's my saying. I've said that from the beginning of my channel, because it's true. We have to know and understand what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. Now, don't let that overwhelm you, okay? Let it prepare you, because a lot of people get into this industry not prepared, right? And they're just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it had to be all this much. Your knowledge base will grow over time, and you will start to see things a lot more once you start working with the records a lot more, and once you start working with practicing the coding a lot more. Because in this industry, it takes practice, and it is worth it, because there's no other industry like this, right? What other industry do you know where you can be so impactful as to be able to help providers, be able to help facilities, to be able to get all of the revenue coming in based on the codes that you're selecting, based on their documentation, and based on working with them to make sure that they are appropriately documenting, so that everything that they have done will be captured in this record, and a record that will be complete, so that in case anything happens to this patient, this patient can go to any provider and they could be able to look at this documentation and everything is clear, instead of, not working with your provider and then the patient takes their record and then it's just this jumbled mess that another provider can't even read, as far as like them using abbreviations and things like that, or documenting in a way that is not clear and is real ambiguous. And so they then causing the patient to have to undergo additional tests that may be repeated tests because the provider didn't understand the other provider's documentation. So that's why I say, guys, don't worry about all that riffraff and listening to all that stuff. When I went to conference this year, there was an abundance of that conversation. And for some of the people that were speaking, they were speaking like they know, and again, they don't know. These are people that have not been in the industry as long, or people who don't quite do what we do to understand and to be able to speak on that, okay? So being able to speak on, okay, well, health information, we're going to be able to use artificial intelligence as a tool, certainly, but it's not going to take over our jobs. At least that's my opinion, and that's what I'm going to say to you. Because if you are really wrapped up into, the whole artificial intelligence thing, then just stop now. Then just stop and don't even worry about it, because you're clearly focusing on the wrong thing, okay? I wouldn't say this if I didn't have 15 years behind me. 15 years. The better part of my adulthood has been spent in this industry that is continuing to grow. But again, if people just run around trying to get through these fast-paced medical coding programs, show up and don't have a good attitude, or show up and because they're trying to collect a check and go home and they don't care, that's what looks bad on our industry. People like that. And if those people are the ones that are going to get upset about this video, by all means, you don't have to watch me. But for those that continue to watch me, I want to say this. It takes a strong person to be able to get into this industry and to be able to maintain their place in this industry. And there's a lot of people not willing to speak up for themselves and not willing to do all these things because they want to get so in their own mind about, I'm a really shy person and I just can't do that, and I can't. Why can't you guys ever tell yourselves, yes, I can, right? And so that's why I say, I want people who watch my channel to be strong medical coders, which is why I tell you all and I challenge you all to read the coding guidelines once per week. This is the challenge this month, in the month of October, to read your coding guidelines once per week. And again, while there's no big prize for this, the prize is that you will have that foundational knowledge already. And once you understand those guidelines, as far as like reading them and knowing where to find the answers, not necessarily memorizing them because they do update every year, but knowing where to go and kind of having that sort of recall every time from the guidelines is going to help you to be a very good coder and an excellent coder later on. Once you start building that knowledge and you start applying those guidelines, then you're going to understand. Then you will understand what it means to have artificial intelligence, not as, oh my gosh, it's a big threat, it's going to take away our jobs. More like, okay, this is another tool. Just like the encoder became another tool for us, right? When the encoder came out, and that was, probably in the late 90s or the early 2000s when they started really pushing that out. And it didn't take away the fact that we still have to have books, right? We still have to have books. And the encoder is not always correct either, right? That's the thing. People say, oh, well, I use the encoder all the time. Sometimes the encoder can give you the wrong code if you go down the wrong path. It's the same thing with artificial intelligence allegedly trying to take over, okay? So hopefully this will give you some sort of peace in the fact that if you are studying right now, that you can just keep on studying and you're not going to have to worry about all of this other stuff, because that's what people do. They talk. That's all they do, is they just talk. And again, these things are going to be looked at more as tools. And it's okay to have tools. Because if you thought about that, right? Well, then artificial intelligence could be a doctor, couldn't it? Because then it would have access to all this information and it could be able to just do its little calculations, and all of a sudden it just takes over the job of a doctor? No, I don't think so. You still need that human element. Okay, guys? It's the same thing with coding. It's still going to need that human element. It's going to need dedicated individuals, dedicated professionals who can look at this documentation and truly understand what it means and work towards understanding and getting a better understanding and a grasp of what is happening, whether it is understanding the procedures better or getting better with medical terminology. And a lot of you waste time talking about how you hate medical terminology, how you hate anatomy. I don't see how that is possible when you're trying to learn medical coding. So you need to kind of get that out of your mind and start looking at other things that will help you to learn. Watching Crash Course Anatomy and Physiology was one of the best channels I could recommend for helping you. And it's free. It's on YouTube. This is where you can learn a lot of things. So take the time to look through YouTube. And if you want to watch surgeries so that you can get a better understanding of them, watch the surgeries. That's what I did to better understand knee surgeries and shoulder surgeries, because it makes it a little bit easier to get when you're reading it, when you have seen what it actually looks like. So that sort of putting that together, at least it helped me to be able to understand it much more easier. But like I said, there's a lot of people that speak like they know and they don't know. I can say confidently that I know because, again, I've been a veteran for 15 years. And if I had listened to those yahoos back in 2007, I wouldn't be here today in 2023 talking with all of you about it. I wouldn't have survived going from ICD-9 to ICD-10, which during that time in 2015, when that changeover happened, there was a lot of people saying that same thing. Oh, it's all going to go overseas because none of us are going to be able to understand it. And we walked through that fire like it was nothing because of the dedication of so many professionals out there. So again, if you are focusing on the things that you are supposed to focus on, right, which is the studying, you're not going to have time to listen to this riffraff. And before I close this video out, if you are in those Facebook medical coding groups or on those Reddit threads or whatever, that's just trash talking this industry and how it's going to go away, get out of there. Because those are some ignorant people that don't know anything about what we do. Okay? When you know about what we do, then that would make more sense, right? But clearly, people who talk like that are programmers or people who have only been in the industry for a few short years, not long enough to know that there's an ebb and flow to this industry. And it's the same thing, again, like when we went from ICD-9 to ICD-10 and being able to take all of those changes. The same thing going from paper records to electronic medical records. Things will have a way of getting more efficient. We will have more tools, but they will still need us, okay? So don't listen to all of that unnecessary nonsense. Get very particular about the stimulus that you're taking in. If you're taking in negative stimulus, you need to get rid of that. As far as, oh, it's going away, or I can't find a job, or this or that. Like I said, I had that comment on my LinkedIn page about the person that was looking for a job and, you know, getting upset because they were looking for a billing job, and the billing jobs, they still want experience. And then when I said, no, you still have to apply for these coding jobs, and then somebody jumps on there and starts complaining, and, you know, and then another person jumps on and starts complaining. No, we're not doing that. Not on my channel, not on my pages. We're not doing that because y'all are stronger than that. Y'all are better than that, than all of that complaining. Stop complaining and get down to business. Get down with your work. Get with your books. Get with those workbooks. So that way you don't have time to be listening to all that foolishness. When I was first in the industry, that was a promise that I made myself too. I have a goal. Those are the things that I want to do. I want to get into medical coding. I want to be able to have my career and start going to conferences and doing all these things. I want to be able to do all of that. That's where you all need to be. Concentrating on the right things instead of worrying about the future. Worrying about, oh, what's going to happen? And then listening to people that think they know and they don't know. Okay, so This is my advice anyway, guys. Save yourself a little bit of heartache and concentrate on the things that you need to concentrate on. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.